Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today I stopped by Morgan Buick GMC here in Shreveport, Louisiana to pick up this 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. And in today's video, I'm going to show you a lot of the features that this truck has. And we're going to answer the question, do the features match the price? We're going to take a pretty deep dive into this truck today to show you a few things that normally I don't show. So make sure you stick around for that, especially with the interior when we get into the infotainment system and some of the features I'm going to show you that you might not even know are here. This model has an exterior color of onyx black. It's going to have an alpine umber interior and a very plentiful amount of space within that nice long cabin area for the driver, the passengers, whether you're in the front seat or the rear seat area. You have the multi-pro tailgate here, plenty of space within the bed, good towing capacity. And one thing you might have noticed is the fact that this side step, the power step right here, is deployed back. You know what that means? It means it has this button right here. You can kick that with your foot. That will actually bring it back into a position where if you need to gain access to the rear, or excuse me, the front of the bed, this area right here, and you don't want to have to hop all the way in, do all that stuff, well, that gives you a nice option for that. You can actually go into the infotainment screen and set how those steps work. Again, I'll show you how that works as we get into the video. If you want to know more about this particular truck, check out the link down in the description and you can check out what this truck's all about. Maybe come in and buy it here at Morgan Buick GMC. But let's dig in and see exactly what this truck is all about. And obviously, well, being the Denali Ultimate, you're gonna have that Ultimate badge right there. You do have the standard 6.2 liter V8 under the hood. You can opt for the 3 liter 6-cylinder engine to go under the hood as well if you want that, the diesel engine. But let's talk about functionality. Here on the front end, LED lighting everywhere you look. LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and even though I neglected to turn them on, down there on the lower portion of the bumper, the LED fog lights, and you're gonna have the Vader chrome grille specific to this Denali Ultimate trim level. And something else you'll notice is that instead of having the red right here, you can see that it's a different color. What do you think about that? Do you think red would look better there? Tell me what your thoughts are. And right here is the front view camera. And if you're wondering what this is, that's the front camera washer. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'll show you what's there and how to use that later in the video when we get into the interior. Now, when you're pulling out the Rams, the Fords, the Nissans, the Toyotas, and so on, here are your tow hooks for that. And this truck has a balance of some chrome on it to kind of go along with that Vader chrome on the grille and other options here as far as the exterior goes. And you do have the active air curtains right here. I hope you can see through there real well on the screen, but that does come through back here and allow to improve the aerodynamics a little bit on this truck. How about tire and wheel size? Let's talk about that. 275 on the width. You're going to have a 50 series sidewall wrapped around a 22-inch wheel. And real quick, because I know a lot of people like to know, here is your remote. You do have a remote start and all of the other features you would expect to find here. You can open the tailgate with the remote and the power adjustable side view mirrors. I've got all of the LED lighting turned on all around the vehicle. There's one area where you'll find that obviously on both mirrors, the chrome mirror caps, and you have your blind spot monitoring built in right there. Now let me show you something that you can do here with this truck. LED lighting, again, everywhere. But depending on what your situation is, you can push this button right here and that will fold those side view mirrors in. We'll push that again to bring those back out. And speaking of chrome, well, here you go with your chrome door handles. On the front door, you'll find this button. As long as you have the remote in your possession, you can use that button, that's called passive entry, to lock or unlock the interior of the truck. And let me just give you a quick demonstration here. Like I said, let's just say I want to gain access to this area back here. Well, you know what? I'm not necessarily tall enough to do that without a little bit of help, but there's the help. Now I can reach in and get whatever I need to in the front portion of the bed. Obviously, you can do that on both sides of the truck. A nice feature. And then as we work our way here to the rear, we're going to have, and before we go too far, you do have the LED in-bed lighting. Now notice there's a difference here between the other trucks, other trim levels, and the Denali Ultimate. Normally, it would be right back here in this area, but instead you can see where it's located there above the fender well in the interior of the bed. LED tail lights will finish things off here. And again, another one of those LED lights on the exterior of the truck. You also have the cab light up there. That's going to help to keep things lit brightly after dark. You're going to have the exhaust finishers there and your hitch receiver. And one thing you might notice is that the corner steps here on the bumper are not as deep as they normally are. That's because this is, again, a specific bumper to the Denali Ultimate trim level. And that's because of all the technology that's built in here as far as different features and functionality on the truck, including adaptive cruise control. Well, I'm partially right about that. SuperCruise is what I was wanting to say, but I think you figured it out. You can't have SuperCruise without adaptive cruise control. Speaking of cruising down the road, let's talk a little bit more about what's under the hood with that 6.2-liter V8. And before we talk about what's under the hood, I do want to say one thing I forgot to tell you about those headlights. These are the IntelliBeam headlights. Ultimately, what that means is they adjust to road conditions. That's very helpful, especially when you're driving on a really dark road. So under the hood, the 6.2-liter V8, the largest engine available for these trucks, at least as of 2023, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. That's all mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And how about those all-important MPGs? Well, they may not be perfect, but 15 city, 19 highway, 17 combined. And 5.9 gallons of gas is what you're supposed to use per every 100 miles driven. Speaking of gas, how large is the gas tank? It's 24 gallons. And not only is this ultimately a luxury truck, but it's also a pickup. Really nice combination there. 1,690 pounds as far as payload goes. And with the 6.2-liter V8 under the hood, you can tow up to 13,000 pounds. If you go with that 3-liter diesel, you can tow up to 13,200 pounds. And this is the Multi-Pro tailgate. I showed you what it looked like earlier to a degree, but that's not all you can do with it. So let's see what else you can do. You have quite a few options here. You have a table. You can also have a bed extender. If you need to use this in that respect, well, that helps. And technically, if you had something that was going to be sitting up here above the tailgate line, but maybe you didn't want it sitting up as high as it might with the tailgate closed, well, you can again lower this area right here and alleviate that problem as well. So just some nice options to have there. Yes, it does function as a common, more typical tailgate, traditional tailgate. And there is another bed extender option, as you can see from that position. Now we'll close that and we'll lower this down one more time. And while you have that can come down as a step, we'll show you that in just a second, but there's another option here. I like the fact that if you need to gain access to something in the bed, but you don't want to get in or whatever the case is, well, you can let that area down and it allows you to reach further into the interior of the bed that way. Now, I showed you earlier, you saw this, it is a step. And if you need it, well, here is the handle. Now, one thing I'm curious about, as wide as this is, it's much wider than the Ford F-150 and 250 and so on, with their built-in step that is part of their tailgate system. So the thing is you could probably easily, depending on how big people are, they could get up here at the same time, 2 people at once. So should there be another handle on that side, it would make it a little bit harder to get in there that way. So I don't know, maybe not. Tell me what your thoughts are. And in this particular case, we have the Kicker audio system that is also here. You have the ability to plug in whatever you want to play music off of if you want to, and you can manage everything right here as far as what you're listening to. that makes things nice and simple. You can increase or decrease the volume, and there are lights above these areas to help after dark. Really, in a way, this is the ultimate tailgating truck in a multitude of ways. You have multiple tie downs, including those extra tie downs you see right up there at the front of the bed. So quite a bit going on here. 12 tie downs that we typically see, and then you add those two up there, that gives you a total of 14 within the interior of the bed. You do have the bed liner here. I'll tell you what, at the price point of this truck, you better have a bed liner. And we'll take a closer look at the Alpine Umbra interior. Very, very well done, tastefully done. Looks pretty high-end, I would say. A comfortable armrest right here. You're going to have kind of that baseball-style stitching right here, and then a combination of the white contrast stitching here and the piping that works its way into the interior with the seats. And personally, I really like the fact that you have the in-seat storage right here. That's just GMC taking advantage of what's available. Kind of surprised we don't see that on other brands besides the GMCs and the Chevrolets. You can raise the seat cushions up, not only to gain access to the tools to change the tire. There is a spare tire for this truck that's located under the rear of the truck, but also some extra storage space there. And since this truck is off-road capable, depending on what you might do with the truck, you may want to take the carpet inserts out right here to keep that from being all muddied and dirtied up. You have the snaps right there. You can just take that out anytime you want to. And while there is a little bit of height to the transmission tunnel, it's not that bad. Whoever gets stuck sitting here in the middle seat in this back seat area, well, that shouldn't be a big problem. And there are cup holders everywhere, in the door bins, here in the fold-down armrest. You also have them on the rear of the center console, as well as the air conditioning vents, a couple of USB options, and heated seats. Something I don't need today because it's hot, but we're getting this done anyway. And you do have the rear window defogger, or what was commonly referred to as a defroster at one point in time. Now, the one thing that I think a lot of people are going to say, I wish it was different, tell me what your thoughts are, is the sunroof. Conventional size instead of panoramic. Personally, I'm going to tell you something. Because after you use those a few times, they tend to leak when it rains. I would rather go with no sunroof at all. We'll take a look into the front seat through the passenger side door. Basically the same look as what we saw on the rear doors here, with one exception. You're going to have that Ultimate logo right there. You'll see that a few places. Number one there. Also down here on the door sill, the GMC logo on these floor mats down here. And then we'll also have the Ultimate logo on the seat backs here. These are power adjustable, heated and ventilated seats, and they also have the massage function built in. You can't beat that. For you bodybuilders out there, after a back workout, or really any kind of a workout, it'd be nice to just let that run on the way home when you're heading back to get your post-workout meal. And quite a bit of storage here. You could put all of your protein bars and whatever right there, beef jerky, things like that. And we also have, let's see if I can get this to open, there we go. We also have more space here above the glove box. That's going to be your upper glove box, lower glove box right here. A lot of space. I'm glad there's a grab handle here to hop into the truck. And you can see your one-touch buttons right down here. I probably don't need to tell you too much about what's there. There is your shifter. What would you rather have? The shifter right here, or maybe a column shifter? I know everybody has their opinions on that. More USB connectivity right there. Now, you might notice, if you haven't looked at one of these trucks in a while, the wireless charging pad. Would you say to yourself, why isn't that here? Well, it is. It's just in a different place. There's your cup holders, and there is your wireless charging pad. So you just deposit your phone down in there, and you're good to go. More connectivity within the center console. The power outlet right there, more USB options. You have a tray right here for whatever you want to put in there. You could take that out and leave it out if you wanted to. There is a lot of space within the center console and a light in there. And the lid for the center console is a multitasker because it's not only a lid, it's also an armrest. So a lot going on here, but we're just getting started. And beyond a few additional switches and buttons here, pretty much we have a carbon copy of what we saw on the passenger side door, but one big difference is going to be found right here. Seat memory, 2 settings. You'll push set right there and push 1 or 2, just depending on which one you want. That's useful. Personally, I think that should be on both sides, but that's just my opinion. There are vehicles out there that have that feature where you have it on both sides, just not here, not yet. Tell GMC what you think about that. Here's your drive mode selector, controls for all of the lighting, your head-up display controls right here, and the control here for the power adjustable steering wheel. A lot going on here within the truck. You also have the graphics that greet you when you hop into the interior. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, negative things about that, but it's here. I might as well show you. Here's your push button start, and we have the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster that definitely does a great job of showing you what's going on with the truck. And the thing is, you might look at that and say, boy, that's kind of boring. Well, guess what? If you push right here, you can go in and change the display. In fact, you can change every section of the display. We're really getting in to some of these features that I was telling you about earlier, where you can go in and make a lot of changes, whether it's units or the right or the left side or the lower portion down there. You can literally change everything. There are so many different features. If you get to a point and say, man, I don't like the way that looks, right down there at the bottom, and you'll push the scroll wheel right here. That's how I'm working my way back and forth through everything. You push that when you're on reset to defaults, and it will reset everything back to where you originally had it, and you can start over again if you want to. Obviously, a lot of great features and functionality. And here is where you're going to control the windshield wipers. You're also going to control something called the turn signals or blinkers. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. A lot of you, especially here in the Shreveport area, will have no clue what I'm talking about. But I promise your vehicle has that. It's actually standard on all vehicles, whether you use it or not. And you have not only the steering wheel mounted controls here, pretty easy to figure out what is what where that's concerned, but also your shifter paddles. On the back of the steering wheel, you will also have on each side these buttons right here that allow you to control the functionality of the radio. Also, the rear view camera mirror. Now here's the thing about that. If you have somebody sitting in the back seat, in that middle seat, and you can't see, well, that's the easy way to fix that. You can use that as a conventional mirror. You can also use the buttons and switches here to control the positioning and all of that. So there's a lot going on there. There are changes, obviously, to the dash that came as of 2022. Nothing new for 2023, but I'll tell you what, this 13.4-inch touchscreen really makes a difference. Let's take a deep dive into exactly what you'll find. So you have Google Assistant here, and I'm not going to say, hey, you know who, but I will demonstrate this for you. And the reason I do it this way is because apparently I have been known to set off devices in your house. But you can select right here, and it comes up. Tell me a joke.
What's the difference between a guitar and a fish? You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish.
If you were needing a laugh from a very corny joke, there you go. No offense, Google. So what we have here, the 13.4-inch touchscreen, and there is so much here. Wireless capabilities for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You don't have to use a USB cable to pair your phone. You're going to have your trailering features and functionality here, all kinds of information you can go through as far as adding trailers, choosing trailers. There's even a checklist you can go through to make sure everything is set correctly. And as far as Google Maps goes, I'm not going to set all this up, but that's also part of Google Assistant. You can use voice commands for literally everything on this truck. So a lot going on here. And here are our multiple camera views. Now, this is the front camera that I have up on the screen right now. And I showed you the front camera washer, but keep in mind, you don't need to have the front camera up for the front camera washer to work. All you have to do is push this button. That's going to run the windshield washer fluid to clean your windshield off. And at the same time, every time you run the windshield washer fluid, it's also going to spray a stream of windshield washer fluid across that front camera just to keep it clean. You do have the rear view camera, We have all sorts of cameras all over this truck. You can see literally everything you want to anywhere from any angle. In fact, let's go back here. If you can't find one of the kids or one of your crew members or whatever the case is, if you're at the racetrack and you're afraid they might be taking a nap somewhere, well, it could be in the bed of the truck, and you can zoom in to make sure it's actually them and not somebody else if you wanted to. Anyway, you can see what's there. A lot. And quite a few more features here, a lot more functionality. As you can see, let's go into settings right here. Let's see what we're going to find there. There's connections, vehicle, apps and permissions, a little bit of everything. Privacy, storage systems. If you need to do updates, you can do that. But let's go into vehicle real quick and see what's here. You have Teen Driver. You can turn rear seat reminder off or on. And while I encourage you to use your seatbelt, to drive with your seatbelt on when you're driving down the road, if you're just going to be driving around maybe the pit area at the racetrack or on the farm or at the deer lease or wherever you might be, and you don't need to wear your seatbelt, you can turn that feature off, the buckle to drive feature. That's very helpful. And yes, this truck does have SuperCruise. As you can see right there, you can go through and make all sorts of changes to a lot of different areas of the truck depending on what you need to do. Almost endless in a lot of ways. And speaking of SuperCruise, here's the indicator. Here is the sensor that's going to keep up with what's going on with the driver. If you look away, I believe it's for more than 10 seconds, it will actually shut down. And this seat does have the vibrations built into it. So it will actually vibrate and let you know, and you'll see this indicator turning red when it's about to shut off. Obviously, with the seat having that built in, that means you're going to have the vibrations for blind spot monitoring and parking sensors and all that good stuff. It's all here, and it's very easy to use. And we do have our dual zone climate control here. As I said earlier, we have the ventilated seats. I want to leave those on. We also have the heated seat function, but I don't need that. Now, one thing that is different, I believe this didn't happen until 2023. So here is the button that you use to activate SuperCruise. In the past, up until I think 2023, it might have been in 2022. Let's not get tongue twisted now, 2022. This would eliminate the heated steering wheel function. But guess what? And again, we don't need this today, but it's here, so I'm going to tell you about it. Here is how you activate the heated steering wheel function. I dare not use that today because it is entirely too warm. And for those of you who made it to this point in the video, here's a little bonus for your patience. The interior lighting after dark. Just to show you what everything looks like. I know not everybody shows this in their videos. I also wanted to show you something I forgot to mention earlier, which is going to be the head-up display. So you can change its position, you can change what's on the screen. I hope that's showing up well. But that's what we have. Here's the rest of the lighting. As far as the infotainment screen goes, the air conditioning controls, everything that's here. And let's take it a step further. In fact, here's what we'll do. Let me turn that off for just a second. Let's go here and we will turn on the high beams. There's your high beams, there's your low beams, and we will also go ahead and turn on all of the other lighting around the truck. So let's do that, and we'll take a quick look at how everything looks as far as this goes. Something that I know a lot of people can't do. I apologize that that is a little bit bright. But here is what everything looks like after dark. At least the best view I can give you on the screen based on where I'm able to shoot the video. We'll run around here to the back. There is the in-bed LED lighting in that unique position compared to the other truck versions or the other trim levels of this truck. And you can see everything here on the rear. We'll finish that off, show you that LED light right there on the tailgate and the LED tail lights. Okay, we're going to get out on the road for our test drive. And obviously, well, what would you expect? It's a truck, so it's going to have a little bit of a truck-like ride quality, but it's still not too terribly bad. A very enjoyable truck to drive. It's going to get the job done in a multitude of ways. And yes, we are on a terribly rough road, so you'll probably hear a lot more road noise than you would otherwise. So one thing you'll notice, I don't think this was possible before 2023, but you'll notice that we can keep the camera up while we're driving. So, in comfortable interior, easy to learn, everything's easy to use. It's a truck. It does a great job of not only being a luxury truck, but getting things hauled around, trailers, payload, all that good stuff. So, let's do this. When you go to push the button down here that I showed you earlier to turn SuperCruise on, if you need to turn adaptive cruise control on, if it's not on, it's going to tell you on the screen. So it's going to give you the instructions. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and hit this. SuperCruise is now enabled, and all I have to do is sit here and enjoy the drive. I need to keep my head facing forward, so that's very important to know. I told you a little bit about that earlier. As long as you have good stripes on both sides of the road, you're not going to have any trouble. So it's very interesting, and even though I'm the only person out here on the road, we'll still show you a couple of things, but you'll notice we have a little bit of a bend, a curve coming up in the road right here. It's not major, but you can see the truck is taking it just fine. And if I need to change lanes, all I'm going to do is push the blinker like this, and the truck will automatically move over. Now, what it will do, actually, it's going to go ahead and turn off for some reason. Not sure why it's doing that. I guess because I changed lanes on this particular road, but that's okay. Okay, and now it's going to come back on. That was interesting, something I didn't quite expect, but that happened. Now, you can set the speed wherever you want it. I don't know if there's a maximum as far as how fast you can drive. If you need to drop the speed, you can. And if there was somebody in front of me, the truck would sense that. It would actually drive better than a lot of you do, and it would turn the blinker on and change lanes. Now it's starting to go back off again. Not quite sure why, but that's just probably because of this particular road. Just one of those things. We'll go ahead and leave that off. I will reassume driving responsibilities here with the truck. So, what is it like to drive with SuperCruise on? Well, it's not too bad as long as there's not a lot of other traffic around it. It's a little more disconcerting that way, at least for myself it is. The one thing that I noticed that was very interesting, let's just say we were cruising down the road here, continuing to use SuperCruise, and there was an 18-wheeler in the right-hand lane, and I decided I wanted to go around that, so I would go ahead and or the truck actually itself would go ahead and turn the blinker on and go around in the left-hand lane. But the thing I've noticed for me personally is that when I'm driving myself, I tend to be a little further over to my left, just for obvious safety reasons. This truck will stay closer, more in the center of the lane than I would personally. It's just one of those things that's very interesting that I've noticed in using SuperCruise. For some people, that may not be a big deal, but just in case you were curious as to how that works, well, that's how it works. And obviously, this truck has plenty of get up and go with the 6.2 liter engine under the hood. That makes a big difference as well. But no matter if you go with that 6.2 or the 3 liter, or if you're going for another trim level of the GMC Sierra, and you can choose one of the 4 engine options available. You have the 2.7 liter, you have the 3 liter, the 6 or 5.3 liter and the 6.2 liter. Those are your options. Each one of those do a good job of getting the truck down the road. You're going to have the most torque with that 3 liter diesel engine. I believe it's 495 pounds-feet of torque. Quite a bit. It really does a great job with the truck. So I haven't had a chance to tow yet with one of these. I would like to do that, to maybe tow and put a heavy payload in the bed of the truck, but that's just the way it goes. We haven't had a chance to do that just yet. But I tell you what, this truck definitely has a lot of versatility built into it. It's a luxury truck, enjoyable to drive down the road. You can haul the family around, haul the boat, whatever it is, the race car trailer, as long as it's not too big. Then you need to step up to a 25 or a 3500, and you can get a Denali Ultimate with the 2500 with the HD trucks now, so that's good. So if you're saying to yourself, man, I really do need a truck that's going to tow a gooseneck or a fifth wheel without a problem, with whatever it is, your travel trailer, your race car trailer, your moving trailer, you might be in the moving business, your lawn equipment trailer, there's a lot of things you could do there. The good news is that you can still have the Denali Ultimate trim level with the HD truck as of 2024. Those models are available now. I have several videos on those if you would like to see, but ultimately that is the test drive with this truck. So tell me what you think. Do the features match the price on this 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate? That is a mouthful. I'm so glad to get through that without tongue twisting. So tell me what your thoughts are and tell me why you answered the way that you did. I have to say a special thanks to my friends at Morgan Buick GMC for loaning me this truck for the day. Remember to check out that link down in the description of the video if you're interested in buying this truck. And I want to say a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now and make sure you subscribe so you can see future videos. I'll see you in the next video.